So good morning, my dear students. I am Brother Joar Alferez, your professor in ethics. So if you still remember last meeting, I gave you or I sent to you the first chapter of our module, then with your assignment. And there are some were asking kung paano i-submit, and I think I sent my Gmail as well as my yung Yahoo email. So that's a simple reflection. It talks about your philosophy in life. Okay, so before we'll be discussing about our subject, especially ethics, we have to discuss first the introductory part, especially the so-called philosophy, because ethics is just one branch of philosophy. So from your reading, especially in the page 1, I don't know if you read already, philosophy, the birth of philosophy begins at Miletus, particularly with the ancient philosopher Thales. Thales, he was the one who introduced especially the beginning of philosophy in the late 6th century BC, that was before Christ. And of course with the other philosophers, here comes Socrates, Plato, and the rest. And they were the ancient philosophers in which they have their own idea, different ideas when you talk about the beginning of philosophy, the basic stuff, the beginning of life. Then there are also other philosophers who also mention that philosophy starts or begins when one starts to wonder. Wondering is another on the side of philosophy is the beginning of philosophy. Sabi nga, when one asks, bakit ako pag natutulog nakapikit ang aking mga mata? Especially your younger brothers and sisters, they will be asking. Very intuitive, nagtatanong sila. Because that's really the start of this philosophy. Then, the three ancient philosophers, especially Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, as well as Thales, they have a lot of contributions. I think you have already read that one, so we have to fast track everything. So now we'll proceed to the meaning of philosophy. From your readings or from your module, philosophy comes from the two Greek word philo or philia or sophia. When we talk about philia or philo, literally that means friend. Then sophia, that's the literal meaning is wisdom. So therefore, philosophy is the love of wisdom. In Filipino, ito yung tinatawag nating nangingibig ng karunungan. That's why you as a student, in your own little way, you can be a philosopher in your own little way. If you start to ask the question, why? If you wonder, why? So sana malinaw yan. Sabi nga in Filipino, ito yung nangingibig ka ng karunungan. That's why you study, because you want to know more about the truth. Kasi philosophy is also, according to one of the Filipino philosophers, Sikro, sabi niya, philosophy is the search for the truth, the search for meaning for life, especially yung wisdom. Wisdom meaning the deepest meaning of the truth, especially when you talk about life. Then there are a lot of philosophers who also define the word philosophy. So, binabasa ninyo yan, kaya na magbabasa din dyan. Then, right after that, on page 2, there are also 5 views from the philosopher Titus as well as Smith. They said that 1. Philosophy is a personal attitude in life and in the universe. So, how you look at life, how you look at the world, the universe. Then, second, this is a method of reflective thinking and reason inquiry. So that's why in this subject, I hope you will develop the so-called critical thinking na minsan mag-isip ka. That's why may mga assignment ako, una-una reflection paper. Tanungin mo sarili mo, relate that to your sarili, so that you can think, you can reflect, and you have to be able to develop the so-called critical thinking. Then, This is also an attempt to the whole na gustong malaman ang kabuuan, especially the realities in this world. Number 4, according to Titus and Smith, a logical analysis of language and a clarification of the meaning of the words and the concepts. So here, and I don't know if you read in advance, when we talk about the meaning, especially the language, we have one branch also of philosophy, and I will discuss that one later. Then the last one is, according to them, a group of problems as well as a theories about the solution of this problem. So philosophy, according to their view, a group of theories. Then with that theories, if there is problem, they will be able to solve the so-called problem. Then it is also said that philosophy as a science. I think when you were still in high school, I don't know if you still memorize if you will be asked, what is science? Diba sabi natin, science or science is a systematized body of knowledge based on facts, based on observation, based on experimentation. That's the common definition of the word science. Then, why is it that philosophy is also science? Because philosophy is also a body of knowledge. So that's why philosophy is also called science. Okay? Next. The functions, you read that one, the functions of philosophy. Then philosophy and the society, there's also a relationship. Then the values of philosophy. And I think from your readings, you'll be able to grasp everything. That philosophy also very, very important. So we move on, especially to the attitudes towards philosophy. There are students or even people, they do not like philosophy because there are reasons. First, philosophy is difficult to understand. And I don't know from this module, there are technical terms in which medyo malabo intindihin. But that's why, that's their attitude. Bakit pa tayo mag-aral ng philosophy? Kasi mahirap. But sa atin, sana hindi naman. From the root word nga, sabi natin, mangingibig ng karunungan. A lover of wisdom. So, sabi nga, wala namang mahirap sa mga marunong. Pero pag hindi ka talaga mag-study, it's really a problem. Okay? That's the first attitude. Second attitude, philosophy is impractical. Impractical, what's the opposite of impractical? Is practical, of course, na walang gamit. Kaya nga in Latin, you have the so-called the sine fundamento in re. Na nakasulat dyan sa English na it is impractical and out of touch with reality. So it's just more on the mind without application to reality. So therefore, it's impractical. That's why we study philosophy. So there's no need. That's the second attitude. Then third, there is no progress in philosophy, for even philosophers disagree with each other. And that's very true. Philosophers, they disagree with each other. When I took up this philosophy, especially, by the way, my major is philosophy. I studied in the seminary. Mahirap. Kung baga in Cebuano, nagsinumbaga yung mga philosophers through their ideas. Like, for example, between Plato and Aristotle. And I think from your subject, so when you were still in high school, alam niyo yan, who is Plato, who is Aristotle. Plato was the teacher of Aristotle. Then, hindi sila magkakasundo. Kasi for Plato, sabi niya, man is only a soul. Then, that body is the carrier of the soul. That's the dictum, that's the teaching of Plato. But when Aristotle came, one of the bright students of Aristotle, no, I do not believe that man is only a soul. So, he go against his teacher. Sabi niya, man is composed of body and soul. So, sino ang paniwalaan sa dalawa? bottom line is you have to respect. That's their idea. Sila yung nauna. That's why for us, the students, or now, mga tao ngayon, sinunod natin to sa Aristotle. Because we also believe, even our religion would tell us, that man is composed of body and soul. That's why, when we die, ano nangyari? Nilibing tayo, balik tayo, kasi yung paniwala, balik tayo sa lupa. But our soul, we believe that will go to paradise. So, yun yung paniwala natin. Kaya nga, there are some na sabi niya, hindi na ako mag-aral ng philosophy. No progress. Kaya nga, the philosophers, they disagree with each other. So, that's the third reason about the negative attitude why people do not like philosophy. Then the last one, critical examination, the fundamental principles is harmful to the individual and the society. Critical examination, yung sobrang pagkritik, sobrang pagsuri din, sabi nga, nakakasakit sa individual at nakakasakit sa society. Like for example now, in our country, I know some of you is die-hard Duterte supporter. We believe, I also salute Duterte. Pero minsan, yung sobra ding pagkilatis, nakakasakit sa iyo, damdamin mo, individually then, of course, to the society. Well, hindi naman perfecto yung presidente. Alam natin yon. Then, kagaya ngayon, the issue nowadays, pandemic. So, what happened? He has a lot of mga critics. So, if you're the supporter, nasasaktan ka. But if you tingnan mo, may tamang sinabi, may tama din itong sinabi. Kaya yung iba, tahimik na lang, baka patayin ka. So, that's the bad side naman. So, that's the point there na. Pag sobrang kilatis, masasaktan ka, masasaktan din ang, of course, ang sambayanan. Ang sambayanan. Now, I'll cite another example. Critical examination, alam natin, the Manila Bay, kumuha galing sa Cebu ng white sand, sinira yung environment doon, nilagay doon temporary. Tapos ang daming nagkritik. Bakit inuna pa yan? Ang pandemic, wala. Pero sabi ko, if you are a supporter, nasasaktan ka. Kasi that's to criticize. Kaya nakakasakit sa'yo, kasakasakit din sa buong Pilipinas. So therefore, sabi na, no need to study philosophy. That's the four issues why people, they do not like philosophy. So we move on. The next is, there are questions there, which is, you have to do this. There are 5 questions. First, why is there a need for a person to have a certain kind of philosophy? Then second question, what can you say about the coverage or concern of philosophy? Then you have to explain on that. And then the third, in what aspect in philosophy similar to science? I think I mentioned that one. Then from your readings, you read that in toto. Then what are the functions of philosophy as a science? How about the person and the society? Then the last one, why do some people have negative attitude towards philosophy? Can you cite reasons other than the ones given for such an attitude? In what way can such an attitude be avoided or corrected? So I mentioned the 4 attitude, the negative attitude towards philosophy. Aside from that, I think and give other reason, other attitude why they don't like philosophy. So among the 5 questions, choose only 3. Choose only 3. You have to answer that one. And this is 15 points per number is 5 points. So when will you submit this? You have to submit this by next week, maybe Thursday, because the first assignment I gave to you was the reflection. So I'd like to explain this because there are some na hindi pa nakasubmit. konti pa yung nakasubmit, pero yung nakasubmit medyo may problema, parang pataka lang. Iwasan yung copy paste kung may mga internet man kayo, kasi a reflection is very very personal. Very personal. Kasi iba, uy, copy paste man ito, saan to galing? Wala namang connection. So tingnan niyo ha. Then I told you, sabi ko, language here is not an issue. Language is not an issue. Sabi ko, if you cannot really express because you are peace and development in English, there's no problem with me. You can write it in our own language, the Filipino language. But I do not like yung pinaghalo yung Taglish, tawag nila. If you want it in Filipino, write it in Filipino. If you want it in English, write it in English. Sana malinaw yan. So ito ha, so hindi pa nakagawa o yung nakagawa na, nag-submit na medyo nalalabuan, madali itong reflection. Having understood the meaning of philosophy, write a statement of your life's philosophy, explain how you develop or acquired such philosophy, and how it influences your lifestyle. Diba, when you were still in high school, may mga saying kayo. The very common saying yung, if the others can, why can't I? And that will be it can be your philosophy in life. That philosophy in life, that would be your guiding principle in life in order to achieve, to reach your dream. Kaya nga ito, hindi kailangan to copy paste. Personal dapat. Ano ang filosofiya ko sa buhay? Okay? Ano ang filosofiya? Kaya nga, my philosophy in life. Because you know what is philosophy from your readings that I sent to you. And I have this very clear. So yung nag-copy paste ha, iwasan. Iwasan. Kung hindi mo maiwasan nag-copy paste, please cite kung sino yung nagsabi din. Pero yung iba, lahat naman, wala man kayo sinabi, kundi doon na lahat. So iwasan yun ha. Kaya nga, how would you be able to develop the so-called critical thinking na kinopya mo man lang? Okay? But well, sabi ko nga, kung may nakopya ka man, cite kung sinong nagsabi para hindi tayo makasuhan. Then, give your own idea. Not just copy paste everything. Give your own idea. So that you can, kumbaga ba, matumbok mo yung assignment natin. And I think malinaw yan sa inyong lahat. I think yung iba, second year man kayo ngayon, yung iba na interview ko yata when I was your program head last year, nung first year kayo. Pero yung iba, yung isang kasama ko nag-interview, so hindi pa niya ako lubusang nakilala, lalo na ngayon na virtual, labo-labo tayo, but ganito lang. Kasi may nagtatanong sa group chat, pinsan, sabi ko nasa group chat may mga instruction ako, pero yung iba, parang ayaw man sumunod na instruction, nandoon na yung malinaw naman yung magbasa kayo doon sa group chat. Kaya nga, dinagdagan ko itong lecture natin, parang follow up sa ating module, para mas lubusan yung maintindihan. Okay? May iba pa nagsulat excuse letter. Dear sir, I was not able to attend. I'm not very strict, wala tayong attendance. Kaya nga, kahit saang lupalop man kayo ng mundo, o ng ating bansa, basta makasubmit ka sa pinapagawa ko, that will be my basis para maipasa kita. Pero pag wala ka talaga sinabit, take the consequence. Bahala ka sa buhay mo. Okay? So, siguro naman nagkaintindihan tayo. So, submit. Yung sabi ko there are 5 questions. Choose only 3. Then you have to submit that one next week. Next Thursday. So, you have an ample time to do that. So, once again, a reminder, kung maaari lang, huwag copy-paste. Kung mag-copy-paste man, once again, isite kung sinong nagsabi din, you have also to give your own idea. So, with that, I hope you learn something. Kahit na module, basa kayo ng module. So, ganito lang gagawin natin ha. Magle-lecture ako, just follow up for the module, then isasend ko sa inyo. Kasi ito naman isa sa mga paraan. Kasi yung iba, presidente nyo nasa Pagadian. Yung isa nasa Zamboanga. Then, malabo pang internet natin. But if it is recorded, medyo mas, kung may site, syaro naman yung makuha. Isend ko sa messenger o sa email ninyo o sa Facebook. Syaro naman, sige kayo panood na, sige kayo sa ibang kuan. Then may nangambisyon pa, mag Google Classroom tayo, mag Zoom tayo, mag ano tayo. Sabi ko, okay yan pag okay ang ating internet. Paano yung taga-bundok? Magka-problema tayo. So ito yung the most easiest nga ginagawa ko. May module, magbasa. Then mag-follow up lang ko ng lecture about that module. Parang nasa classroom pa rin tayo ang dating. Okay? At least may module tayo. So with that, God bless you all. Do your part, do your assignment, read, and develop the so-called critical thinking. Then after you submit your assignment next week, I'll send another part of the module. Then more or less ganitong gagawin natin. I have also to give lecture. So thank you very much for listening. Stay safe. Then God bless you all. Namaste.